Let this all fall apart! I don't need anyone. This hasn't been changing. And now it's too late!
Not often do I find a horror game that captivated me like Total Chaos. A game which on the surface looks like any other survival horror game. It has monsters, spooky sounds, and most importantly, getting scared to the smallest thing. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh. But if you dig deeper, this game actually has one of the most disturbing stories of any game I've ever played. In Total Chaos, you play as a silent protagonist and have to venture through an island long abandoned, which at first seems semi-normal aside from the monsters, but you find out things quickly dissolve, where the line between reality and fiction start to blur, where weird tunnels start to form, and where the monsters you encounter become more and more grotesque. To our character, this island is both foreign but also somehow familiar. It feels like there's almost something calling you down to the deepest part of the island. But before we can find out whatever that something is, we have to start at chapter 1. I could handle it. I had already gone through much worse at the end of the day. I still had me. I knew who I was. The game opens up with text explaining that we're working as a Coast Guard and have to go respond to a distress call from a damaged boat. And in the next scene, we're inside the boat, pretty much aimlessly going into the sea. There is no sign of anyone or any boat anywhere in sight until you hear a faint voice on the radio. Then almost immediately after we hear that, a storm sets in and all the lights go out. And the very last thing we hear from the radio is it's not too late. Most likely a desperate cry from whoever was out on the boat. And the scene ends with a mysterious figure behind us, which it got me. I'm not gonna lie. Oh my gosh, that just scared me, dude. Soon after, we get some more text explaining that we actually were able to survive and somehow woke up on an island called Fort Oasis. And it's also clear that our character feels some sort of guilt for not finding whoever that was, due to him saying that the call still haunts him. Which also could mean this was in the past, because if it still haunts him, it must have been a while ago. Honestly, it's not really clear what to make of it, but it seems like a mix between past and present. However, stepping off the dock, I find a door, and of course, it's locked. It's locked, alright. Well, that doesn't work then. So making our way further down, I eventually find myself a sewer pipe, which I'm able to get into. And the second you walk through here, you can tell Total Chaos's atmosphere is pretty unsettling, especially when it's accompanied by some very ominous writing. Some black writing on the wall saying there is no other way. It just kind of adds to the atmosphere, you know, a little spooky, if you will. And another thing I noticed about the atmosphere is kind of how somber and calm a tone it was before you step in. And almost the second you see the writing on the wall, you notice the mood transitions to more of a dreadful tone. I just thought that was neat. And, you know, it worked because it got me. Not really messing with this music right now, I'm not gonna lie. Is something gonna pop out? Oh my gosh. And as I go deeper into the fort, I start to pick up the static once again from the radio, but still the signal isn't strong enough for any voice to come through. Rotten apple. Why would I want that? And yeah, I haven't mentioned it yet, but there's actually food in this game, and it pretty much directly goes with your stamina bar. So if you get too hungry, your stamina will be affected, but it's usually not that big of a deal in this game. Honestly, throughout your playthrough, you're able to find enough food to be fine. But one thing I noticed is that almost all the food is rotting. It is kind of weird because you're able to eat it with no consequence. But anyway, I kept moving, and I was able to find my first weapon. Pickaxe. All right. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Get the heck out of it. I'm done. I don't want to play anymore. All right, I literally just started. I mean, like, I just started, and they got to throw that at me. Oh my gosh, that was a freaking person. I didn't even see that. All right, man. Maybe this is not the game for me. But anyway, I eventually found myself a record player, and these are almost identical to the typewriters from Resident Evil. However, unlike some Resident Evil games, you don't need any item to save. You can save as many times as you want with no consequence. And fortunately, you're able to find them quite frequently. So even if you die, the last save point is not that far away. And as I keep going further, the ramblings on the wall just get more and more frequent. But what was actually important is I needed to find myself a key. And while I was trying to do that, I broke my pickaxe. What was that? It broke. Oh no. And usually in games, your weapons breaking is, you know, not the greatest thing. But in this game, it forces you to kind of use a variety of weapons. It honestly reminds me of Doom Eternal, where you constantly have to keep swapping weapons. And it also means there isn't one dominant weapon, so you kind of have to use a bit of everything. But I'm eventually able to find the table with the key on it. And right next to the key, there's a note on the desk. And the note pretty much consists of an employer threatening his employee for not doing his job right. Honestly, in this note, you're not given a lot of information, but we know that it goes to someone called T. But after grabbing the key, I face my first enemy. Now, this guy is known as the Brute, and I'll be honest, it's as basic as enemies get. He's most comparable to like a zombie in Minecraft. Not even the baby zombie, just the normal one. Pretty much not dangerous at all. The only time they actually pose a threat is if they're in a big group. But for the most part, these guys are very easy to take down. However, the first time I saw him, it kind of got me a little bit.
Something's gonna happen. Something's gonna freaking happen. Oh my gosh. What did I say? What did I say?
But eventually I was able to escape him using this gate.
Okay. It's all good. Is there like a flashlight in this game or what? Monster meat. What is that supposed to be?
And as I went down further, I found a puzzle.
Oh, crap. Some sort of puzzle.
Yeah, not too thrilled about that, but fortunately in this game, they are very easy and they are very infrequent. There's literally only 2 puzzles that come to mind, and this is one of them, so they're like non-existent in this game. You know, so that's good. But all you have to do is line them up with the symbols and you're good to go. So yeah, not much thought in this one. So at least that's good. You know, it's pretty easy to do.
Alrighty. Let's see. Something's gonna happen down this hallway. It just looks a little too scary. So I feel like, you know, something's gonna pop out and do something to me. Oh, freaking, what did I say? Oh my gosh.
Alright, you're not able to fight any of these guys. You just have to run away. And after a very short chase sequence, the radio finally picks up and you get a signal.
You've come here to find something. I believe it is something we have both desired for a long time. Your presence in this place means that you are willing to do what I ask of you. If you follow my requests, I will take you to what it is that you desire.
Now, the game doesn't outright tell you who this voice is. However, it sounds extremely similar to the voice we heard on the boat on our way here. And once we take a step outside, the radio continues to talk to us.
This place, this oasis, we've been here before, but it's not how we remembered it. A sickness has infested these walls, but I believe with your help, we can put a stop to it. On the north side of the island, a mine awaits us. We must reach it, descend into its depths to the deepest point.
And with the very vague instructions, we're told to go to one of the mines on the island. And throughout the rest of the game, this voice will constantly be feeding you directions. So instead of the game giving you some sort of waypoint on where to go, this voice is going to be the only way you kind of know what to do next. But as I kept going, I found myself another note right next to a save point. And this one is to a Dr. Thomas talking about medication and the side effects of it, asking for possibly a different solution like therapy. And once again, the note only says who it's to and not who it's from. Then after going down this hall, I faced my second enemy.
Oh, what is that? Oh my gosh. No. Oh, I'm stuck. I'm dead. GG's.
Now, I'll be honest, this guy is kind of like a glass cannon. He can do quite a bit of damage, but it takes like an actual nothing to kill him. However, on top of him doing quite a bit of damage, he can also close distances very fast. So this is someone you still have to watch out for.
Back the other way? Oh, get the heck out. No. Left. Oh, my gosh. There's a lot happening right now.
And after escaping the lightning guy, the person on the radio says to pretty much ignore the enemies. Now, I'll be honest, I kind of forgot that about 20 minutes later. However, saving your weapon durability for a time when you need it is probably the best bet. So avoiding enemies whenever you can is probably a good idea. And it's at this point the game tells you about crafting. And the way that you craft in this game is by finding workbenches scattered all across the island. And basically, all you have to do is combine a bunch of items, but first you have to find yourself a blueprint. And until you have the blueprint, you can't craft it. So even if you have the materials for it, you just can't craft it. So the first one I got is for a pickaxe, and this is a pretty solid weapon, but I couldn't figure out what this like bottle thing was. I thought it was like a potion. No, it wasn't. That wasn't that. It was actually wood glue, but it took me like way longer than it should have to figure it out.
Hey man, I'm really trying out here. What do I do now? Yeah, recipes, I got it, but how do I craft the recipe? Oh, that's what that potion thing was. All right, well, figure it out eventually.
And also we find another note to T. Now this is the exact same initial as the other couple notes. And the note talks about a contract and backed up work. Now it is possible that this T person got fired from the other job and has possibly found a new one. Now I could be kind of wrong on that assumption, but that is my best guess based off these notes because they don't provide you a whole lot of information. But after escaping through a gate, I end up leaving the area and starting chapter 2. And also with this chapter, we learn how to throw. So that's funny, I guess. Throw the bottle at the enemies. Or rocks if you find a rock.
Who the f threw that motherfucker?
So, this? Oh, he's not dead. He didn't die. Oh, there we go. Throwing weapon. Why would I want to do that?
And you can throw weapons, but honestly, I don't really recommend it. It's kind of unnecessary. Honestly, you're just better off using the melee. And I continued to push forward, and I got jump scared again.
That got me again, man.
And the voice on the radio comes back and tells us we need a key from the storage room. So that's what I went to go get. But that was going to be easier said than done because the tutorial for this game was pretty much over. And they just started throwing a bunch of enemies at me.
All right. right, now it's a 1v1. All right, dodge. Yeah. And then, okay. Oh my gosh. No. Oh my gosh. Is there like a safe area right now? I mean, like it. Please swing. Swing the axe. There's a chance. There's a chance. Come on. Die. No!
However, after about 15 minutes, I was finally able to get past all the enemies, and I was able to learn the blueprint for bandages, and they were going to come in super handy because you don't really find them out in the world. The way you're mainly going to get them is just from crafting them, and it's very easy to craft. All you need is some sort of alcohol and a rag to combine it with, and just like that, you get 2 bandages out of it, which is going to completely stop bleeding.
Bandages. Nice. All right.
And it was by this point I made my way to the spider den, which is, you know, not the place you want to be.
Do I go? I don't know. Do I want to go down there? Probably not. All right, into the hole. Hopefully there's nothing bad down here. Oh! What is that? Oh my gosh. I'm gonna throw a brick at them. They're pretty weak though. They're pretty weak. All right. Yeah, I could take these guys, I feel like. Okay, maybe not, actually. All right, now I can't see anything. All right, man, now I'm bleeding. I am not really doing that good right now.
Eventually, I was able to get past them, but the spiders, they are something. They're kind of similar in the sense of a brute. They're not really dangerous by themselves, but in a group, they can cause a lot of damage. And just like the brute, they also have a ranged attack, but this time it's a spider web they shoot at you, and it temporarily blinds you. So this spider was just going to add to the list of enemies I have to deal with. And also, we get another message from the voice on the radio.
This is where it started. How it all began. I see it clearly now. She was suffocating. She couldn't escape.
And once again, it's another vague message from the radio with really not much to go off of. And also, I find myself an item called Compound. Wasn't really sure what this was, but I assumed it was some sort of healing item.
Red compound, green compound. What is this, Resident Evil? Green and red herb? I don't know what that does, but okay.
And once I made my way outside, there was another tape overlooking a graveyard.
Can't beat the view up here.
Sure, but why here? It's a little morbid, isn't it?
You have to look beyond this. Beyond the island. Nothing beats the sunset here.
That note that you gave me from before, what was that all about?
I don't want to talk about that now. Just, I want to enjoy this, just for a little longer.
There's nothing left to be said about her. Some things are best left forgotten.
Now, most likely this tape is the she who the radio is referring to. It's the only female voice we've heard so far, and that's the only thing that would make sense. And based on the tone of the radio's voice, there's some sort of resentment towards this character. However, by this point, I was looking for a weapon upgrade.
Where is the gun by chance? That's what I'm really trying to look for. Because, you know, that would come in pretty handy right now.
And if I wanted to get a weapon, first I was going to have to get myself the blue block key. And the voice on the radio informs us we have to go to a sealed door to use it. And of course, not before I get jump scared again.
Dude, no. Don't do that.
And once again, I come across another tape, which is going to a certain Mr. Scott from some sort of doctor. However, the only way to get treatment is to go to the mainland, saying that Fort Oasis does not have the required things to treat it. But as I kept backtracking, I hit a lever back in the spider's den, and this was going to lead me to get my first gun.
Oh, nice. They all woke up. All right. Yep, time to leave. What is good bread, all right? Miller's key.
And now with Miller's key and a sledgehammer blueprint, my gear was going to be substantially upgraded. But before I did that, I crafted myself a sledgehammer.
Really? I was just trying to make the new weapon, man.
And I'll be honest, the sledgehammer is my favorite melee weapon in this game. It is kind of slow, but it does a lot of damage, and it also stuns enemies as well. And also we receive another note, basically the exact same thing as the tape we just heard. The same Mr. Scott has to leave due to health issues. However, we hear about a character named Lita leaving suddenly. Now, it doesn't say who this character is in relation to Mr. Scott. However, we do know at one point she was on Fort Oasis. But eventually I was able to make my way to the storage room and use Miller's key to unlock the gate.
What does that open? All right, well, there's the shotgun.
Now, this pump shotgun would remain solid throughout the entire game. It never gets to a point where it gets nerfed or it becomes weaker. It's just a very solid option when you can find ammo for it. And since this shotgun has spread, it can actually hit multiple enemies at once. So the best way to use it is if you have a big group of enemies.
All right, so I'm at Miller's right now, and I got to get back. Oh, my gosh.
And we once again hear from the voice on the radio.
I should have known. She was going to show up eventually, waiting in the darkness, waiting to rip you apart when you least expect it.
And the next letter we find is actually to Lita. We heard about her in the last letter, and this one is actually to her. And this is a follow-up to her abruptly leaving. Now, it doesn't say who this is from, but I think we can take a good guess saying that it is from Mr. Scott, because so far, he is the only one that has a real relation to Lita, at least that we know of.
Don't turn your back on her. What is that supposed to mean? All right.
And after turning this corner, there's a brand new enemy I have to deal with. Now, you're not able to even kill this enemy. You simply have to avoid her.
I'm not turning my back, so I just have to look. Go around. All right. All right. All right. What do I... Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. I just got scared by the air.
And this is the one enemy that can cause your character panic. And panic is literally that meter down at the bottom. And it completely stops your character from being able to dodge. Meaning whenever you're in close proximity to this enemy, you just simply cannot dash.
Oh, dude. Get me the heck out of here.
And also, this enemy is a one-shot. So you really have to be careful by not getting close.
I wasn't even that close. Really not mess. Stop it. Dude, I hate this. What is this? What game am I even playing?
And after using the key and pulling the lever, I was able to escape.
All right. Fine. It's fine. I'm past it now.
Now that I was finally past that, I got myself to another save point, and I found myself one of these green pills. Now, honestly, they're very rare to find, but they give you a permanent stamina increase, as well as a little bit more carry capacity. So every single time I find these, I pretty much take them right away. And once again, with another Resident Evil similarity, they're kind of like the yellow herb. But after taking the elevator up, it was time to enter into Chapter 3. And right when the chapter starts, we get another message from the radio.
I've been alone in this place, isolated and rotting away. It has been suffocating.
And by this point, I realized that a lot of the messages are basically just to himself. It's usually some sort of rant or just him venting through the radio. And we still don't know who this voice is. It seems we originally came here to figure out who this is and save him. But right now, it's unclear if this person is even on the fort we're at. However, as we keep going, we see more writing on the wall. And it relates exactly to what the voice on the radio said. And also, we see a bloody picture. It's a little bit creepy, but there's not much else to say. But that radio call is also a hint for the next enemy. And it's basically this big mouth monster. This enemy does some of the highest damage in the game. And it is pretty tanky, but it does have one fatal flaw. All you have to do is just throw an item at it. He'll start eating it, and he'll be stunned for about 10 seconds. So if you're able to throw like a brick at him, you pretty much already won.
Oh, he ate it. Okay. I guess that's the weakness.
And after this, we see more of the island. And also we find another note. This one is bloody just like the last one. They're not gone. They left me. Everyone left me. They won't let me find her. Putting two and two together, this is probably the same woman as we saw from the picture earlier. And this is also most likely the character Lee that we heard from earlier, due to there being some sort of sudden departure from the island, being very similar to these random ramblings.
Like I should have known that was going to happen. All right, well, I'm down here now.
But eventually I make my way to a room where I find prescribed medication. However, there wasn't really any reason for me to take this. I gained 1 bar of health, but I increased madness. Just didn't seem too worth it to me. And I haven't really mentioned it yet, but a lot of the stuff you take in this game for health has some sort of side effect to them. Some of them have no side effects, and it's the best thing you can take. But things like the stim packs can actually cause bleeding. So a lot of the times you're forced to weigh out the pros and cons.
Consume the meds, make all of this go away. I don't know, man. Maybe not.
This is where I start to notice that a lot of these writings are actually directed towards us. Now, it's possible that this medication was already set here, but it almost seems a little too coincidental. And before I took it, the radio came in once again.
I know you don't want to take them, but we may need a fresh perspective to get back on track. You could take them, and for a while, all of this would fade away.
And unfortunately, there's nothing I can do. The only way I progress is by taking the medication. So I end up taking it and the surroundings completely change. When you're in this medicated state, things like the walls will change. However, it can also open up gaps that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to get to, allowing you to get more weapons and supplies.
All right. Oh my gosh. Go, go, go.
And the only real way to escape the manic state you're kind of in is to find one of the save points, and for some reason, that's the thing that grounds you. I'm not sure what the significance of it is, but for some reason, it seems to be the only constant on this island. And once again, we see more writing, but this time it's in pink. However, it doesn't seem to follow the same pattern or writing style as the rest of them. It seems like this is written from a child. Grabbing myself a fuse, I turn the power on, and with it, we hear some very peaceful music, and it seems extremely out of place from what you've been hearing throughout the entire game up to this point. And going through the vent, you hear a baby crying, as well as 2 small baby toys.
She wants to play. How about hide and seek? You always loved to run.
And right after we hear this from the voices, we just barely see someone at the end of the alley. And it's possible that whatever this thing is can mimic voices. And right after this, we hear from the radio pretty much the exact same thing.
It's all a game. She's just waiting for you to find her. And playing into it won't get you anywhere. Ignore this, all of it. We don't need another distraction.
And after getting out the elevator, we get ourselves a new gun, and this is the harpoon gun, and it's actually not that bad. It's able to shoot out these harpoons, and you're able to collect them after, working as some sort of crossbow that has infinite ammo. It doesn't do a huge amount of damage, but since it's reusable, it's not that bad. And also, it's quite useful against the dogs we encounter. Now, dogs are very weak. Honestly, I never really ended up using a melee on them. I pretty much just shot them right away, so they'd never become an issue for me. But I kept going forward, and this monster thing started talking again.
They're still hiding. Waiting.
I don't know, a little bit creepy, but I just kept moving forward. But then making my way outside, there was an avalanche, which basically just blocked my way off. So the voice informs us we have to go another way.
You'll have to reach the upper districts to go on. There's a different path we can take. Buried in the rock, deep below us, is a prison. Down there is a surface elevator we can use to ascend. No longer can we avoid her, I fear. And I have no doubt she'll be waiting for you down there. So you'll need a weapon more conventional. Before heading to the prison, head to the police station. There you'll find an armory. We need this to proceed.
So now with the path blocked off, the only way for us to proceed is to grab a weapon from the armory. And the person on the radio also says that we're probably going to have to face whoever this is. After a short walk, I eventually arrive at the police station. And on a table, I find a lighter as well as another tape.
Hey, it's Ryan. Just reaching out again. It doesn't feel right having you absent from the list. Allison and I are still waiting to hear back about the anniversary party. It's been 5 weeks now, and not a word. Is everything okay over there? We get that you're going through a lot. If that's the reason, just let us know. The silence, it's got us all a little worried. Please, call back soon.
Now, up to this point, this is the first time we've heard of this Ryan character, and based on what the tape says, he's trying to reach out to somebody that has not been responding back. However, he doesn't say any names, so we're still kind of in the dark on who he's talking about. And as we move forward, we see the weapon locked behind bars, and the only way for us to get to it is we have to turn the power on first.
No power. Oh my gosh. Like, throw me a bone here.
So after finding the fuse boxes and putting the fuses in, we finally come face to face with whatever this monster is. And while you're locked in this cramped area, there's nothing you can do. It doesn't matter how many times you shoot it, it can't be killed.
I feel like I'm not doing any damage here.
So the only way to get past this section is to hide from it.
All right, here we go. All right, just don't get spotted. That's the only thing I gotta do. Just gotta be quick, you know? Just gotta get in and get out. All right, place those two. All right, don't. Okay, I can't shut the door. Oh my gosh.
And after placing the fuses down, we unlock the armory, and we're finally able to kill the creature. And just before we leave the police station, we're actually able to find a vest. And this vest is pretty solid. It doesn't weigh a whole lot, but it really helps with the amount of damage you take. And just before we leave, we place the fuses back down, and we hear another message from the voice on the radio.
The longer you linger in this place, the faster its sickness takes hold. I've been trapped for what feels like an eternity. It doesn't control me anymore. It can't. Give it time. You'll learn to live with it too.
And after that message, it now seems like whoever is here is in the same situation as us. He might be living off the rotten food and everything else he finds around here. But if you don't think about it too much, it could also just be a way for the game to say that the game is just getting harder. As the game progresses, there's going to be more and more new enemies that you have to deal with. But now after making our way out of the police station, we're able to take the elevator again. But this time it malfunctions and we're completely submerged in water. And as we make our way out of the submerged elevator, we once again see the baby toys and hear the sounds again, which could mean that the creature we thought we killed is somehow still alive. However, our main concern right now is to try not to drown. And you actually can die from this part if you don't get to an air pocket fast enough. But fortunately, I was pretty quickly able to find it. And to open this locked door, you needed a key.
Oh, I gotta find the prison master key. All right, well, guess I better start searching.
So all I had to do was shoot this chain. Then I had to go back in the water and pick up the key, and literally just like that, you're able to open the door. It is very straightforward, and behind this door is so much loot. Up to this point, they have never given you this many medkits. The hardest part is literally just knowing what to carry, because a lot of this stuff does weigh quite a bit, and that is something you do have to keep in mind, but I wanted to pick up as much of it as I could. And in this room, we find a letter from Lita to Tyler. And this one seems to be a follow-up from one I found earlier. And this letter also makes it seem like Tyler is the one writing the letters to Lita. But it's about Lita not being able to contact Tyler due to him being on the island. And she also explains that they both have a child. However, it doesn't explain why she left the island. Now, that could be the reason why she left, but it doesn't really make sense why she wouldn't send another letter before. And also at the beginning of the letter, Lita is talking about Tyler's illness. And now with this note, you can kind of put things together. It now seems like all the monsters you run into were once people, which somehow have been taken over by the illness that the radio talks about. So this could also explain why we hear the baby noises. It's maybe not a mimic. They could just be people from the island, but somehow they're changed by the disease. It's really not clear what this disease or illness is. However, that's kind of the best explanation I could come up with. And also we find Cora's bracelet, which is the name of the child. And if we plug that name into the switch by the door, we're able to open it.
All right, nothing jump out, you know? Nothing, don't do anything.
And I knew right away this was the most obvious boss arena I've ever seen. And this was actually the real reason why they gave me so many medkits. This was not, they were not being generous. This was why. Now in this game, there's not really any health bars, so I had no clue how far I was into beating this boss. But basically, I just kept shooting it. It has this lightning attack you have to do, and you have to hide behind some pillars whenever that happens. Because honestly, it does do quite a lot of damage, and I wanted to conserve as many medkits as I could. But also, this boss arena spawns an infinite amount of ammo. It wasn't the most fun thing to do, but I literally just went around waiting for the ammo to respawn, getting myself almost like 400 bullets. This was not how it was meant to be played at all. But you know, I had to cheese it a little bit. But eventually, I was able to take him down. It was not that hard, especially with 400 rounds. I hope I'd be able to beat it by then. But of course, after this fight, we get another message from the radio.
I wasted like all my healing supplies, but
so
it
hard
worked.
not to drown, and yet here you are, dragging yourself deeper.
Honestly, it's kind of just a weird comment. Our original intent to come here was to rescue this guy. However, at this point, it doesn't even seem that he wants to be rescued. It honestly feels like he's literally there just to taunt you. And once again, the game's ambience fits in super well. And in this game, all the game's music and ambience is all baked in. You can't turn down one setting more than the other. It's just meant to be in the game. And fortunately for Total Chaos, it works really well here. And this subtle music in the background is leading up to a hallway where we find ourselves another tape.
Tyler? How could you say such disgusting things? I don't even know where your head is at anymore. And honestly, I don't want to. I want nothing to do with you. This was supposed to be a miracle. A gift. Why can't you see that? Stay away from us and get help.
And once again, it's another very vague tape. Lita doesn't mention anything about what Tyler said or did exactly. All we know is that Lita doesn't want anything to do with Tyler at this point. We then take the elevator, and this marks the beginning of Chapter 4. We enter into Chapter 4, finally being outside again. And before you could even check your surroundings, we're once again called on the radio.
If you're hearing this, I made it. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I couldn't just let this go.
Ryan. Of course now he shows up. Only when the hard part's already done.
And from this radio call, we can clearly see that Ryan can actually pitch into the radio. And also, the guy on the radio also knows Ryan. Which, honestly, he makes a funny point, which, yeah, Ryan, he could have helped me out on the last boss fight. I mean, where was he at? But anyway, we're introduced to a new enemy this chapter. And this is easily the weakest enemy in this game. And these guys are known as landmines. Their name is kind of straightforward.
oh my, okay. Okay, they, all right.
So if you get too close to them, they'll do a ton of damage to you. But honestly, they're so weak that they're not really even a problem. You just have to pay attention when they have these weird cloud things, so you know where they actually are. And after roaming around for a bit, the voice once again gives us instructions on how to progress.
This filth, it has rooted itself deep. There is no other way to the overpass. You will need to find a way to sever this. Kill it all. Burning it should do the trick.
So we have to burn this wall of almost growths, if you will. I have not really seen anything like this in any game. I don't even know how you think of this. It really feels like they just try to make the most weird, disturbing looking monsters they could. And honestly, they did a very good job at it. And if I wanted to burn them, first I was going to need to find lighter fluid. And honestly, this would be a lot longer of a journey than I thought. So going all the way around, we go into this super dark area and there is just spiders everywhere. I definitely did not do this right. I think there's at least like 20 something spiders in here. What you're supposed to do is just run through, but I just shot all of them. It was the biggest waste of ammo ever, but I didn't know what I was supposed to do.
If I had a grenade right now, that'd be kind of good, but, you know, I kind of don't.
So eventually, after getting past them, Ryan closes the gate for us.
Hey! I'm opening the door for you!
And also, for the very first time, we see the first person on this island.
Oh, that was a close call. You alright? Listen, that voice you've been following, that one on the radio, I'm trying to reach him. Desperately. All I want is for him to come home. Away from this god-forsaken place. Even if it's kicking and screaming. You think you're helping him. Fulfilling these little requests, these rituals. But all it's doing is locking more doors. He's disappearing. And this place, this rot, it's making sure he never finds the way back. I need to see him. Face to face. Before there's nothing left to see. And if your path leads the same place as mine, then maybe we can help each other.
Ryan can't be trusted. It's funny how generous guilt makes people. He's not here to help us. He's here for himself. I'm just the mess he left behind. He has people, laughter, warmth, happiness. happiness, and he gets to visit my suffering like it's a f***ing vacation. I'm the one who has to live here. He just passes through whenever he pleases.
Now, this whole interaction by far is the most out of place part. It really makes no sense that Ryan is here, no problem. Like, we're the only ones facing the monsters. And after Ryan just saved us from the spiders, the voice on the radio still doesn't trust him. Which kind of makes you question why we even trusted the voice on the radio in the first place. Because so far, Ryan is actually helping us. And the voice on the radio is leading us to areas that are harder and harder. Continuing through the chapter, we see some more writing. And this would be for the new enemy that's introduced. And it's this monster with like 2 pairs of eyes. Basically, you're not supposed to look at them, but a lot of the times you don't have a choice. Whenever you do it, they do some sort of a shockwave attack, and it does a lot of damage and has a pretty big radius. But the one weakness they have is that they are just extremely slow. So if you need to run away, it's pretty easy to do so. And also for some reason, the game gets just unnecessarily difficult.
Oh, there's 3. Oh, there's 4. I mean, please just go. I'm dead. All right. Which way do I go? Oh, dead end. GG.
I mean, like, dude, what do I do against this?
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, man. You know, it gets to a point.
But after finally being able to escape from the waves of enemies, I came across an elevator, which I didn't know what floor to go to.
I don't know which one to go to. I guess, let's go up. Yeah, I don't know. No, this is some nice music. Like this. Let's just keep it this way, you know? It's all good here. Hey. All right, not a huge fan of this.
And making my way through the apartments, I eventually found a locked door, so obviously I couldn't go through there. So I decided with nothing else to do, I was just going to jump down this hole.
Do I really have to jump down there? Alrighty, well. And I was supposed to know that was going to happen.
Yeah, it didn't work out too well, but I didn't know where I was supposed to go. I would have to come back through the elevator, but this was just not the time yet. First, I had to go back outside where the storm finally arrived. Basically, your goal is just to get to shelter as fast as you can. And once again, I run into the enemies from earlier.
Alrighty, as long as there's not another one, we should be, Okay, really, dude? Oh my gosh. No, man. I wasn't even that close. All right, there's 4. What do you expect me to do, man? What does that do? Yeah, got him.
And I was able to escape by walking backwards. And after this, we enter into another cutscene.
Hey! Over here! He's spoken to you again, hasn't he? The voice on the radio. Whatever his request is, it can't be the only way forward. There may still be another way. Buried deep in these walls. This is what you came for, right? Can I trust you will do the right thing? There's still someone in there. And I need to believe it's not too late to reach them.
Now, once again, Ryan shows up out of the middle of nowhere and gives us a key. But it seems like he's also there to help the voice on the radio. It seems like Ryan believes that there's something wrong with the person on the radio, or that he's not completely in his right mind. And also in this room, we get ourselves a pistol as well as another tape. Now, this tape doesn't really say much. It's just about somebody getting a lease on an apartment in Fort Oasis. But other than that, there's not really much else. And after listening to the tape, there was just a few weak enemies I had to deal with. And I made my way back to the elevator, but once again, it malfunctioned.
Hello?
Oh, and now once again, we're back in this dream/medicated state.
Every moment you dwell here will lead you closer to inevitability. If you still had a chance to leave, would you take it?
Now, based on what the radio says, it seems like the island pretty much drives people insane. It seems like there's some sort of like zombie outbreak, if you will. This could explain why the monsters were here. Basically, they were just originally people. And since they've been on the island so long, they turn into monsters. The same thing with the dogs as well. And it also seems like the voice on the radio is also being infected. Just based on what Ryan said earlier. He might not be completely gone yet, but it seems like he's getting closer.
Hey, you work with the Coast Guards, right? That storm was like nothing I've ever seen. When I spotted your boat, I honestly didn't think anyone could have survived. Name's Ryan. Come on, I'll give you the tour.
The place is a bit rough, huh?
I thought the same when I first washed up here. But before you know it, you won't want to leave.
And it might seem like a small detail, but Ryan saying you don't want to leave is also kind of odd. It really seems like we can't leave. Because if we could, then Ryan and the voice on the radio probably would already. Now, up to this point, there have been quite a few jump scares, but I don't know why, but this part of the game was one of the scariest. You walk down this hallway and you keep going and you see this face in the wall. I don't know why, but this is one of the most disturbing things I've seen in any game.
Stop. We need to stop. We need to stop. Oh my gosh. I don't want to look at this thing, dude. I can't freaking do it. I can't do it. I don't know what else to... Oh my gosh.
Now, there's not even a jump scare until you get close to it. I don't really know what it is, but something about this uncanny face with it twitching, it just caught me so off guard. It was the last thing I expected going down this hallway. And honestly, it's one of those moments where you have to play it and you also have to have no prior knowledge of it. That's why I think it works so well. But I don't know, something about this thing made me want to just set the game down and not play for the rest of the day. However, after the jump scare, we have to go back and avoid all the hands in the walls. And just that sentence alone sounds like kind of schizo. But from this point on, the environment just gets more and more disturbing. And it also happens a lot more frequently. But as we run through this medicated dream-like sequence, we once again see Ryan at the end of this bridge. And then we're attacked by some sort of unknown figure.
What? Heck no, I can't play this anymore.
And after we're teleported to a save point where we can finally ground ourselves. Once again, I'm not really sure what the record player even does. I don't know why that's the reason you restore your sanity, but I guess my best theory is that this music doesn't originate from the island. So if you interact with anything from the mainland, you just go back to normal. It's probably not the most accurate theory, but it's the best thing I could think of. But anyway, we continue forward by flicking this lever. And the whole reason for us being here was to unlock this convenience store. And there's just bits of supplies around, but the main reason you're there is for the lighter fluid as well as the Molotov cocktail recipe. And on top of that, we once again hear another tape.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know if I'm helping. I left him. I've regretted it ever since. Maybe this isn't even about him anymore. Maybe I just need to stop feeling like a coward. I hope it works out for him in the end.
There it is, his confession. Hope always stinks like that. Warm, nervous, and naive. Don't let him get in the way.
And with that, Ryan confesses to somehow abandoning the voice on the radio. And this is the whole reason why the voice on the radio doesn't trust Ryan. And it's the exact same way with Lita. But now it seems like Ryan's back because he feels guilty. Now, once again, like most tapes in this game, it's, not very clear on what he did, but it is clear that he left him in some sense. And once we step outside, the storm is finally cleared. And also, I just randomly thought of this.
I just realized, why is all the food rotten? I mean, maybe it's been a long time, but it's just like, it seems like it's intentional. That's all I'll say. There's like rotten bread, there's rotten apples, monster meat. Like, you know what I'm saying? It just seems a little too coincidental,
Now, I think this further proves that literally everything on this island is somehow infected or some sort of virus is spread. But eventually making our way to the crafting table, we're able to craft the Molotov cocktails. And you once again see this weird figure we saw in that dreamlike stage. But the way to move forward is you have to burn all of them.
Burn them. Now.
Throwing the Molotov cocktail, we go past them. And once again, up into another elevator, it starts chapter 5. And entering into chapter 5, we find ourselves on another note. It's been a while since the last time we saw it, but it's from somebody named Wayne, and it's also talking about Elise, so this is most likely the same thing as the tape we just heard. It's basically just about the apartment, but other than that, it's literally just the tape in paper form.
Oh, whoa.
And also we run across a new enemy, which this guy is the miner. Or like, he mines. Now, this is one of the tougher enemies, and also he uses weapons that you use. So things like pipes, pickaxes, even shotguns later on. So right now he doesn't show up that often, but later on you encounter these guys way more often. And once again, we hear another message from the voice on the radio.
I've lingered here far longer than I ever meant to, retracing old steps and replaying every moment, wondering where it all fell apart. But why? What's the point? You can't rewrite what's already happened. My path brought me here to this corpse of a home. These fading memories. They're all I have left.
Now, based on what he says here, he seems more defeated. For the most part throughout the rest of the game, he seemed unfazed or angry or whatever. But this time around, it doesn't really seem like that. It almost gives him more of a human element. And the voice on the radio just tells us to keep going forward, that we're gonna have to cross a bridge to get to the mines. And also he confirms that he is in the mines. And we also see more writing on the wall, as well as a revolver behind bars. Now, with the writing, you can kind of tell what it implies. However, it seems like there's no way to get to the revolver.
Tunnel key, all right. I'm assuming that unlocks the tunnel. Oh! Yo, you gotta stop. It has to stop at some point.
And once again, we're forced to take more medication to progress. But this time it doesn't give you any pros, it only increases madness. But it's what we have to do to progress.
Oh, no, man. I'm not trying to do this again. I don't have a choice. I have to take it. I don't know what else to do.
And once again, we have to make our way through this tunnel that it creates.
All right, just go through here. It's all good. It's all fine. Everything, the walls, they all look normal.
And after we make our way to a save point, we finally ground ourselves. And there's also a phone on the wall calling. I wasn't sure if I wanted to answer or not, but I ended up answering, and there was a whole lot of nothing. It was just pretty much static from the phone.
All right, more explosive. Oh my gosh. Alright, and there goes the bridge. I don't know how I get scared every single time by them popping. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, no, not again. Alright, it's this guy. It's this guy. I can take him out. Like, and now they're all stuck. Like, look at these guys. Oh, my gosh, never mind. Oh, what is that? Oh, it's the eyes. Oh, no. Man, I don't want to fight this thing. No. Okay. If you look at... Okay, well, he's dead now.
And now, similar like Chapter 4, there's multiple different routes we can take. And we have to take these different routes to get ourselves 2 keys.
Do I go up right or do I go to the left? I'm gonna go up right first.
And with these 2 keys, we'll unlock the library section, which is required to pass this chapter. But this chapter, I was kind of getting killed. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, guys. Okay. I mean, apparently he just doesn't die. He doesn't die. All right, man. All right.
However, there is another phone call, and there are actually multiple throughout this chapter. But first, you have to take out these spiders. And this phone call is a bit, odd.
Didn't really like that.
And honestly, by this point, I was debating if I should even pick up these phone calls. But I keep going forward, and I'm just going to spoil it here. This is also one of the most terrifying segments in this game. And based on them giving you a save point just before this, it's going to be pretty bad. The lights go out, and you're given literally 0 information. And the only way to maneuver around here is by using your lighter.
Please not. Don't. I actually don't even want to play. I actually don't want to do this. It's too dark. It's way too dark. I'm dead. And I was supposed to know that was going to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Like, you know. All right, let me try this again, dude. Just don't go down there, and we're going to be good. Something is going to happen. I don't know what. Something's going to happen. I'm just going to say it. Especially down this hallway. Frick this. I'm done. I'm not playing. I'm actually not playing. I don't want to play. You know what? I don't have a choice. All right. You know what? It's fine. 3, 2, 1. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! No! I just, no. I'm dead. GG's. Oh gosh! Oh my gosh! I swear to you, I am not lying. I cannot play this. What?
All right, now listen. I know YouTubers overreact to every single jump scare, but this was real. And yeah, I didn't want to play this segment. If I could skip it, you know, I would. But it didn't have a choice, so I had to beat it.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I didn't think it would get me twice in a row. Grab the gun.
And also, I didn't even know how to beat these guys. I started shooting them, which I wasted all my ammo. It didn't work.
Bro, I don't know. And I'm out of ammo pretty much. Did I waste all my ammo? I kind of did. I don't think that was worth it. But also, I'm not trying to, like, you know, mess with those things. So I kind of want to use the ammo.
But these guys are actually scared of light. So all you need to do is use your lighter. Really straightforward. And if I knew that from the beginning, then I wouldn't have been as scared. But up until you know that, this segment is just terrifying. And also, I was so distracted that I forgot why I was even there.
Key fragment? Oh, that's good. Key fragment. So I gotta go back. All right, I need to find another key fragment.
So after finding one of the fragments, I also needed to find the other one, which eventually I was able to pick up and make my way back to craft the full key.
All right, I don't even know what I picked up, but it was something. I got the key. I got it. All right. Oh my gosh.
And with crafting the key, the lights finally turned on and it was over. And that was only one of the keys, so I still had to get the other one. And going towards that way, I found myself a cooker. Now, I was behind this wall, and it basically just allows you to cook bad food, basically removing any of the bad side effects and only keeping the pros. But it doesn't have unlimited uses, so I didn't end up carrying it. But I did decide to just cook up all the food that I had because I'd rather have no side effects than have side effects.
My gosh, man. That should not have been as scary as it was.
And also, once again, I'm still getting scared by this. You know, it doesn't end. And also, we found another note. And this one's about somebody finding a newspaper clipping about everybody leaving Fort Oasis. But this could mean there was actually a lot more people here. And everyone that stayed behind was slowly infected by this sickness.
There's another shotgun in there. I don't really need that. But I guess if you missed the other one, then that works. All right, already not a huge fan of this area. Like, I don't even know what are these supposed to be, but oh, scissors. All right, maybe I can cut my hair or something.
And once again, had to clear out some more spiders.
Okay. Med kit, pistol magazine. way too much loot they're giving me, that means something is going to happen. That's just how it goes in these games.
And eventually we have a kind of a peaceful scene, a little break in the action, where we end up finally seeing the sun again on the other side of the island. And once again, we find another tape, but I'm just going to summarize it. It's like a minute and 30 seconds. I know you guys can't watch that. I'm going to have like Subway Surfers gameplay while But to summarize it, it's about a therapist talking about isolation. And this is probably due to most people leaving Fort Oasis. So there you go. Just summarize that in about 5 seconds. Yeah, I'm him. It's fine. And after picking up the key, I was able to unlock a room that had some loot in it.
Shotgun shells, pistol magazine, bunch of crap, and where was that at? Permanent stamina boost. There we go.
And also there was another phone call, so had to pick that up.
I gotta open the. All right, I gotta pick up the phone. All right, what's gonna be on the other side here? Okay, I was gonna say that sounded like a baby, but that last part did not at all. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be picking up these phone calls,
Yeah, once again, I'm not really, I don't know what to say. It's literally just like a weird wheezing sound, so I don't know what to tell you on that phone call. And the enemy with the eyes, I learned that it has another ability that I didn't know about.
Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna shoot this thing. I don't know. No! That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. Some actual Magneto ability. At this point, just give them guns.
Didn't think they were gonna actually give them guns, but eventually. But anyway, I made my way up to the library and was finally able to put in the last key. And we also get a warning from the radio before we continue.
Before you proceed, you need to be sure of reaching the mines, no matter the cost. Once you cross that threshold, there is no turning back.
So before I entered, I wanted to just get everything I could. So I made my way all the way back to the beginning of the chapter and found a little secret area.
Oh, wait. What goes on here? Ah, see, this is why you look. This is exactly why you look.
Honestly, stuff like that is just kind of cool. It rewards the player for looking around. And also I tried to make my way back to the revolver, but still couldn't get it. And I also shot this little windmill thing. And you need to shoot 4 of these in total, and it gives you a little secret room. Stuff like that I think is just kind of cool. Now, there was just some basic supplies in there, but there was also armor in there. And this allows you to carry a lot more. Now, it doesn't reduce any damage or bleeding. However, it does give you a lot more weight. So this was going to be my go-to armor for the rest of the game.
All right, I've checked everything I needed to. It's time to proceed here. He's saying no point of return after this. Nobody jump out from one of these bookshelves. Gonna have to smack you with the hammer, all right? Don't do it.
And upon arriving in the library, we're met with a puzzle.
Oh, here we go. We got a puzzle going, all right. I was reaching through the cold. Oh, this is gonna be easy. This is gonna be light. Hold on. All right, I don't like how those are turning on by the... Not again. I don't want to go down this hallway, man. I'm out. You think I'm about to... I'm not watching this! Screw this game. I don't want to... No. I don't want to do this. I don't. It's a maze. It's a maze. It's a maze. I am going to get chased through a maze. I don't want to do this.
And once again, we're faced with another section that I can't do it. I can't do it. Like, it's so bad, man. I just don't want to do it. But the only way for me to progress is I had to do it. And the whole point of you going through this maze is looking for books. And basically, you have to align the name with the authors with the name of the books and go back to that little panel at the beginning. On the surface, it's pretty straightforward, but this thing chasing you and it's dark. I'm good.
No. I don't. Stop. You're not. Do it. No.
Now, once again, this is another section where, it doesn't look that bad on video. But when you're playing this on max volume, it's terrifying, dude.
There's no light. There is no light down this hallway. I swear he's down this hallway. I promise you. What did I say?
But eventually I was able to find myself the second book, and it actually provides you a shortcut. So thankfully, you don't have to go through the entire maze once again. Usually once you find a book, there's a shortcut leading right back.
Yeah, I'm really not the biggest fan of this. All right. I need to find him. I just need to, it's fine. It's going to be all good. It's going to be all right. I just got to do it. I've never wanted to not do something ever this much. Oh, you are something, man. Which way am I going? All right, so he's currently in front of me. There's nowhere else I can go. I need to go this way. Yeah, you tried. You did try. You tried.
I was slowly but surely chipping away at this progress. And yeah, he just cuts me off in the middle of nowhere. But there are small pockets of light, which acts as a sort of a safe room. However, eventually I was able to get all the names down. And with this, we're able to open up the secret door. And the monster tries to get you, but the entrance collapses. And once we open this gate, we're transported into chapter 6.
Every scar, every failure, every word that has been twisted is now yours to carry. Don't pretend it didn't leave its mark. The sooner we reach the mines, the sooner we can put a stop to this madness. Together, the pump station. It's not far from here.
And this radio call just further confirmed that this is the point of no return. It was already said before that we can't go back after this, but this is what confirmed that we have to keep going forward. And also this chapter is almost exclusively outside, which usually it's a mix of both or it's pretty much exclusively inside. However, for almost this entire chapter, you're outside in a forest, which honestly is a nice change of scenery. There are points in this game where a lot of the scenery just feels the same, which I suppose does make sense. We're still on the same island. However, just having something else to look at is kind of nice. And also we see a huge monster in the background. This is most likely what the radio is talking about, that when we first started, all we were fighting was brutes, and now we're fighting massive monsters. And by the sounds of it, it's only gonna get worse. And also this is the point where they, they do give the enemies guns. Whoa, he has a gun! Now he has the exact same armor as the melee guy. However, the shotgun he uses does a ton of damage. So your best bet is to use other ranged weapons, or try and stun him.
Oh my gosh, you do so much damage.
And using the harpoon gun, we take down the bridge and continue to move deeper into the forest when we're given the most significant radio call yet.
They were all looking down on me. Lita and Ryan, those smug faces, watching me, smirking at every step and every stumble. They'll see soon enough. They'll rot. They'll rot all the same. I think it's time I drag them down to my level.
And this one recording from the radio basically confirmed that this person on the radio is actually Tyler. The same person we've been hearing about on all the tapes and notes that we collect. Which also makes a lot more sense. It makes no sense that all these notes and tapes are here, because literally everything on this island is falling apart except for those. There's not a single wrinkle on the paper. It seems like the voice on the radio is actually luring us somewhere, because near every important part of the chapter there's some sort of note or tape. And also Tyler saying that he's going to drag both of them down could be taken either literally or figuratively, because it's pretty much confirmed that Tyler is somewhere down in the mines. So with this call, we're given a lot more information. However, our goal still stays the same. We still have to reach the mines. And to do so, we're going to have to reactivate the pumps.
The power's out. We won't be able to operate the pumps without it. You need to get to the nearby generators to gain access to this station.
All right, whatever that means, I'll go do it.
And also as we continue, the surroundings start to change.
Oh, nice. That's okay.
And we're also given this by Tyler.
Soon, there won't be anything left of the person who first stepped ashore, and it's probably better this way. Embrace the madness, and the pain fades away.
Now, I think it's pretty clear that the island kind of drives you insane. It's probably the reason why we're seeing all these weird tunnels and kind of hallucinations. And also my theory of the mines possibly infecting everyone is also most likely going to apply to Tyler. So by the time we reach him, he might not even look human. He might look like all the other monsters. However, once again, we're faced with another maze. And honestly, this is just a reskin of something I've already done before.
Oh, okay. All right. I know how this goes.
But it is pretty straightforward. All you have to do is just not get cornered, and you should be able to make it out just fine. And once we finally arrive at one of the pumps, Tyler tells us to turn the valve.
There. The first valve. Turn it.
By this point of the game, you're not really given a choice. Tyler is pretty much telling you exactly what to do. But during this moment, you can actually choose if you want to turn the valve or not. So I just decided to ignore it, completely disregarding Tyler's instructions. And right after seeing that valve, we find ourselves another note. And this note is most likely from Tyler. It doesn't say a name, but we can put two and two together. And this note kind of makes the timeline difficult to understand. First, it seemed like Tyler's isolated because he's the only one pretty much left on the island. But now this note makes it seem like he was isolated before and then he went back to the island. But a little bit earlier, we did get another tape from a therapist. So he could have been isolated beforehand. Right now, it's not super clear, and also assuming that the voice on the radio is actually Tyler. But right after you choose not to turn the valve, Tyler gets aggravated.
What are you doing? Turn back. You missed the valve.
Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna do it. What happens if I don't?
And if you choose not to follow his instructions, yeah, this happens.
Oh, that's what happens. Okay. Oh, GG.
And since I didn't activate the pumps, you actually do enter this mini boss fight, if you will. And all you really have to do is just avoid them. So using the harpoon gun, you take down this gate. And after doing that, you're able to escape through this tunnel. And I think it's pretty cool that you're given the choice to either activate the pump or not. And the choice actually matters. It doesn't just lead to the exact same result.
Get back to the pump station. We can get inside now. Be prepared. They will put up a fight to stop you.
And before we get there, we do get a little warning that it's going to be kind of an onslaught. So, you know, gonna have to lock in a little bit. And also we receive another tape.
TJ, this is Mark. Thanks for reaching out to us. We're extremely relieved to hear that you're safe and the community of Fort Oasis was able to rescue you after your boat ran aground. We also received confirmation that the original call-out you were responding to has been resolved with no casualties. You can rest easy on that front. We'll give you as much time as you need to recover from the ordeal. And regarding your sudden resignation, we understand you wish to stay at Fort Oasis permanently. It's sad to see you go, but we want what's best for you. Please take care of yourself.
Now, based on what this tape says, it seems like it's referring to the very beginning of the game, when you're working as a Coast Guard trying to respond to a distress call. And this tape literally says what happens perfectly. And we've only been on this island for probably a day or two, so the scene we saw in the beginning was most likely from the past, because it makes no sense that a tape would be recorded. There's literally nobody except maybe the voice on the radio here. So just this tape alone brings up a lot more questions as well. Because in a previous radio call during that medicated state, Ryan claims he's the one that helped you. But at the beginning of the game, you say that you're the one that repaired the boat. Honestly, it's hard to understand and it's kind of all over the place. However, after enough time, we finally reached the pump station. And yeah, they were not lying. There are enemies kind of everywhere. And also, yeah, once again, the crawler things are back. I didn't really like these guys originally, and now I gotta deal with them again. But the reason we do this is to get ourselves a key, and then with that key, open up the pump control gate.
One of those pumps is failing to engage. Try looking for a broken pipe.
And to fix this, all we have to do is do a bit of backtracking by turning one of the valves, and then going back up and turning another valve.
Good. The pumps are back up and running. The catacombs will be free for you to pass through. They go deep under the island and the sea. Once you go down there, I will no longer be able to contact you until you resurface.
And now after doing that, we're able to go through the exit. And also, since I didn't turn any of the valves earlier, it meant that tree monster still lives, which once again upsets the voice on the radio.
You let it live. This won't solve anything.
And once we make our way back out into the forest, the surroundings just get more and more disturbing, but eventually we're led into a tunnel, which going through this gate leads us into Chapter 7. And this chapter starts with us going down the catacombs that the radio was talking about. And once we get down there, we see more of the white writing, saying things like I am enough being crossed out, as well as I am in control also being crossed out, which is honestly kind of odd, because we were actually able to choose if we wanted to turn the valve or not. But eventually this is where things get a bit weird, and where the name of the chapter definitely makes sense here. And looking down this hallway, we see a mysterious figure.
Absolutely not.
And the second you walk up to him, he disappears. And walking down another dark hallway, our lighter actually goes out, and we're greeted with another tape by the therapist on the table. And this tape is about the therapist talking about like a happy place, pretty much talking about an imaginary place as a way to escape. And then in the very next room, we're in some sort of water room. It's pretty clear that whatever this is not reality. And in this weird water room, we once again hear a call for help. It's possibly the same incident from the beginning of the game. And at the end, we arrive at a metal door and open it. And on the other side is actually Fort Oasis. And this looks like Fort Oasis before it was ever abandoned or infected. Now, you don't see any people walking around, however, you can hear them in the background. However, it's clear that whatever state we're in is not real. Or either it is real, but it's some sort of flashback sequence. And it kind of paints the picture of Fort Oasis as being some sort of paradise. However, this whole thing is kind of jarring, especially when you compare it to what it's been like the entire game. And once we walk into the elevator, we're once again transported into another scene. And this time you can hear Lita talking.
Tyler, I was thinking maybe I could go back home for a while. Just to visit, see my family, just get some space. It's not forever. I want to feel like myself again.
And once we reach this locked gate, we're forced to take volume in, which is used to highlight intestines during scans. And right after that, we see another tunnel, but this time it's shaped like an MRI machine. And once we walk into it, we're stuck in a continuous loop. And walking through this loop, we can see the person that we saw earlier, the same one from that red room.
They said it would change me. And now it's too late! I don't need them. I don't need anyone.
And also, this is pretty obvious that this is actually Tyler. And this whole time, Tyler has been the person on the radio, but after this, we get the reveal that, well, we are also Tyler.
Welcome home, Tyler.
And honestly, for this part, I don't know what I can show for YouTube, but based on the audio, I think you can infer what happens.
You've made it. You're here. The exit is just up ahead. Take it. There's no use continuing down this path.
And now with the information that we're Tyler, it means that this whole thing is not real. It's not a Resident Evil scenario where there's somehow a virus that took over this whole island and now everyone turned into monsters. They're all just a figment of Tyler's imagination. Even the island that we're on is kind of symbolic of Tyler's isolation. Now, I don't think this island is completely in Tyler's imagination. It seems to me that all the tapes and all the writing is actually real. However, it gives a good visual of what Tyler's feeling right now. He feels like Lita and Ryan left him and now he's by himself. And by this point, the radio tells us to just give up. There's an exit we can take to immediately end the chapter. However, there is also a very dark hallway that you can go down. Now, this is a similar scenario as the pumps. You can choose to either follow or ignore Tyler's directions. So I decided to go down the dark hallway. And this is absolutely the more difficult path. Down here in the catacombs, you're only given 3 flares to see, and your lighter doesn't even work down here. And you actually can die to a monster down here, but the way to bypass it is by going as fast as you can. So as long as you don't stop, you should be alright. It might take a few attempts for you to get there, but eventually we arrive at another tape. And this is actually the therapist that we heard earlier. And unlike the last one, you actually have to go out of your way to find this tape. Last time it was right next to the key, so it was very easy to get. But for this one, you have to go all the way through the tunnel just to get this one tape. And this tape is about Tyler sticking with therapy. So pretty much an exact follow-up to the one we just found. And honestly, this is one of the more hopeful tapes. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but it feels like Tyler's going in a right direction. And I said this at the very beginning, but it also feels like there's a lot of mix between past and present. Because although I think all of these tapes are in the past, you're actually able to choose in the present to listen to them. And all these tapes are things that Tyler tried to forget. And simply just finding these tapes helps lead Tyler to a better path. And after listening to that, there's an elevator that we can take that leads us into chapter 8. And if it wasn't abundantly clear before that we're inside of Tyler's mind, it should be now, because literally everything around the island is randomly destroyed, where you see things like bricks and rocks just floating in midair. And also we hear from Tyler on the radio that whatever is in the mines is the source of his suffering. So that's the whole reason why Tyler on the radio wants us to go down there. We don't know what it is yet, but Tyler's adamant on it ending his suffering. And it might sound kind of confusing. The person on the radio is Tyler, and we are also Tyler. The best way I'm able to describe it is that we play as Tyler's actions, while the radio acts as Tyler's darker thoughts, if you will. Which honestly, that sounds kind of stupid, but you know what I mean. But that's the reason why we're able to choose to follow or ignore Tyler's directions. But Tyler informs us that we're going to need a suit to be able to go down to the mines. And once we decide to put the suit on, we can't carry anything else. So during this chapter, we just have to use everything we've been saving up. So none of the ammo, tools, med kits, none of that matters. So by this point, I might as well just use everything that I have. And also while we're in these apartments, we find ourselves another tape.
Mr. Scott, this is John Thomas calling again from CW Medical. I'm pleased to let you know that the therapy was a success. You're officially in remission. We'd like to schedule a follow-up test in a few months, just to keep an eye on things. Please give me a call back when you can, and we'll find a time that works for you. If you have any questions, I'm here to help. But for now, I think it's safe to say celebrations are in order.
Once again, this tape has more of an uplifting attitude. It honestly seems like Tyler is going in the right direction. And after listening to that tape, we also hear this important message from Radio Tyler.
You never came here to save anyone. You came to bury yourself where no one could see.
And honestly, he's absolutely right. We don't need to be here. Due to limited information in the beginning, we thought we were here to come and save somebody. However, we're just following our darker thoughts this whole time, which is also a complete contrast between this and the uplifting tapes. Because although a lot of the therapists and doctors say that he's doing better, I think deep down Tyler doesn't think that. And I think this is even more confirmed when you look at one of the earlier letters, when Tyler says that therapy was a success, however, he still doesn't feel happy. Tyler thinks that everyone around him is trying to point him in the wrong direction. However, it's the complete opposite. It's actually Tyler that's putting himself in the wrong direction. And I also do think the concept of going to the mines is also sort of symbolic. The mines are obviously deeper down in the island, and as we go further into the game, we're going deeper and deeper into Tyler's isolation, deeper into Tyler's nihilistic view that nothing's gonna get better. However, we press on and are stopped by these guys.
They will try to stop you. If they get in your way, kill them.
Now, Tyler tells us to kill them, but they don't really do anything. And also, you don't have to kill these guys. Now, there is some loot if you do kill them. However, that's really about it. And it also doesn't necessarily matter because we can't take the loot with us after this chapter. So I just decided to simply ignore them. And eventually, after searching for quite a while, I was able to find one of the pieces of the armor that I need. But what you see once you get there is definitely interesting.
Oh, whoa.
There is just this massive organ-looking thing out in the abyss. It is definitely very odd, but it just goes to show that this is clearly not reality. However, that was only one part of the suit, and the other part of the suit is it's a lot harder to get. I don't know why. The game just decides to throw like a bunch of waves of enemies at you. It's not great.
Really, dude. Oh, okay. Please die. Please die. Please stop. Ah, my God.
But eventually I was able to take all of them out, getting myself the second piece of armor. And you also do need to get a battery for it, but yeah, I did that off camera. It's all good. And once we get all the pieces that we need, Tyler once again pitches in.
You have everything you need for the suit. Once you put it on, the weight will be too much to bear. You will need to leave your equipment behind.
And going to one of the crafting tables, you're able to put all 3 pieces together to create the armor.
There we go. 20 kilograms.
And I don't know if like Tyler's dumb or something, but the armor is only 20 kilograms while our capacity is 56. So, you know, what's going on there? But anyways, we venture into the radiation, and this is what starts chapter 9. And when we spawn in, we arrive at the entrance of the mines. And to get down here, we obviously had to carry no loot. However, before you're able to continue, there's actually a room with a shotgun as well as a revolver, as well as some other miscellaneous things like ammo and medkits. And also, Tyler is just lying. If we can carry this stuff, then why couldn't we carry more items in? And I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's just, you know, it's a video game and wants you to use a certain loadout, dude. I don't care. Give me my loadout back. But all these supplies would be used for quite a few enemies that we'd have to deal with.
Oh, now, hold on, everyone, relax.
And once again, we also run into these guys, but this time, they start attacking you.
Oh, guys, I thought you guys were friendly. All of a sudden, now we want to swap up. Whoa, everyone just calm down.
And yeah, it does get kind of hectic. However, eventually I'm able to take them out. And you have to do this kind of puzzle. I wouldn't even really consider it a puzzle. I guess technically it is, but it's very simple. All you have to do is flick switches in order. But I didn't realize that at first, so I ended up drowning.
Like I was going to know that was going to happen. All right, well, curiosity killed the cat. I'm pretty much dead. I got an achievement for drowning, I guess. That's good. Whoa! Hey, whoa. Let's not do that again.
Yeah, I just thought you had to flick the switches. I didn't realize it was in a certain order. You're given a piece of paper to know what order to put them in. And all you have to do is flip 4 of the levers in order. And a big metal box will open in the middle of the room, which reveals a table and 2 chairs.
Please, take a seat. Now, I'm afraid the results came back exactly as we feared. Further tests confirm it. Stage 3B, lung cancer. Fort Oasis doesn't have the kind of equipment you'd need for treatment. There's simply nothing here that can help you at this stage. You'll need to return to Clearwater as soon as possible for chemotherapy, possibly surgery. I'm sorry, Tyler.
Then we're transported into a maze full of rebar and concrete. It's clear that by this point, we're so far into Tyler's mind that we're not even in Fort Oasis. And I also think that this maze and a lot of the other mazes in this game kind of symbolize that Tyler feels like he cannot escape. Like the isolation that's going on right now will never end. However, eventually I find a hole, and once you jump down, you're given a shotgun with some ammo, and all you can do is just try to survive. Now, clearly, when Tyler talks about us, he means both the radio Tyler as well as the player Tyler. But whoever this you is, we don't know. It could be Lita, it could be Ryan, or it could be somebody else. And after this, we enter into the most obvious boss arena ever. And essentially, we end up fighting ourselves. And honestly, this is one of the easiest bosses to deal with. He has some very simple melee attacks. And just like the brute, he throws bottles at you, but it's not that big of a deal. Eventually, you're able to take him down, but he's not actually dead. And walking down this pretty much abyss hallway, we see these guys stabbing themselves. Now, I haven't mentioned it yet, but these guys are actually known as the Forgotten Ones. And they're supposed to resemble friends and family of Tyler that he's tried to ignore. And walking up to this door, we pick up a revolver to fight Tyler for one last time. In the first stage of the boss fight, it's pretty much the exact same thing as the one we just saw. And during the second stage, he summons the Forgotten Ones. However, I tried to completely avoid killing them. And eventually he spawns in these, I guess, legs. And you're supposed to shoot the orange dots around him. And you have to do it a few times, but eventually after a couple minutes, I got it done. And the last orange dot is actually on Tyler. So after only a few shots, you kill Tyler. And after we win the boss fight, we hear this.
Tyler. There was no other way. Even when we beat the disease, it was still a death sentence. She left us. Everyone left us. The isolation. The loneliness. We don't. I don't have to take it anymore.
And by this point, there's nothing you can do. You can try to shoot the gun you have. You can stay in here as long as you want. It doesn't matter. There's nothing you can do. You're forced to proceed. And just before Tyler takes his own life, he sees Lita one last time, showing that even in the last seconds, he still has time to change his mind. However, in Tyler's head, his mind is already made up. It should have been obvious from the very start. In Tyler's mind, there is no other way. Tyler felt that he was already so isolated that this was the only way out. And honestly, at first glance, it seems like Tyler has essentially no hope. It felt like by the end, he had no second thoughts. However, if you look back, I don't think this is really the case. There were certain points in the game when Tyler created scenarios to help drag out his decision. For example, the avalanche that happened. Since we're in Tyler's mind, we could have had it where Tyler just had a straight shot to the mines. However, he decided to purposefully delay it. And this is the exact same thing that happened with the bridge. Once again, we could have got to the mines right away. However, Tyler waited as long as he could. I think the voice on the radio represents Tyler wanting to go to the mines, while the player Tyler is looking for any reason to keep going. And all the tapes that you discover are the reason. However, during my playthrough, it was just not enough to convince him. But since this entire thing is in Tyler's head, that means we can also change our mind. Because if Tyler was able to control things like the avalanche happening, who's to say he couldn't control the entire outcome? Now, radio Tyler here doesn't even have the control. He obviously has an outcome that he wants for player Tyler, but at the end of the day, you can actually choose if you want to follow his directions or not. Because if it was up to radio Tyler, you completely skip Fort Oasis and go straight down to the mines. During the last few chapters, I actually decided to not listen to radio Tyler's instructions, and I think the main reason why I did this is because the opportunity was kind of right in front of me. I didn't really have to go searching to find a different way. For example, when you had to turn the hydro pumps, it was super easy for me to just turn it or choose not to. It really wasn't that difficult. The choice was directly in front of me. Also kind of the same way with the exit. You could choose to instantly exit or go down the hallway. Either way, you have to go down these ways, so it's a lot easier to choose to either follow or not follow his directions. However, in earlier chapters, you're also given a bunch more scenarios. For example, when you had to burn the wall of flesh to keep continuing, I actually didn't even know that was an option. I thought that was the only way through. However, it's actually not. And also when we take these alternate routes, it seems like we actually get something out of it. Like at the end of the dark tunnel, we heard the tape from the therapist, which honestly seemed like Tyler was going in the right direction. So it seems like if you, the player, decide to go down more of these routes, you actually kind of give Tyler some hope. So what if instead you decided to defy every single one of the radio's orders? What if for every single decision he gave you, you decided to choose the exact opposite one? Then at the end of the day, what would Tyler's outcome be? But to do this, I was going to have to press new game and do the entire thing again. And this time around, it was a lot easier. Obviously, I didn't have to go through any of the growing pains of trying to figure out how to play the game. And for the most part, this playthrough is pretty much the same. The only time it actually changes is during the key decision-making parts. So once again, I started at the exact same way, landing at the same dock and going into Fort Oasis. And something I noticed the second time around is for some reason the pickaxe is kind of significant. Right before you enter Fort Oasis, there's actually a pickaxe in the side of the boat. And also once you get into Fort Oasis, the first thing you pick up is a pickaxe. And at first it might just seem like kind of a coincidence, but if you think back to the Tyler boss fight, the melee weapon he's using is also a pickaxe. And if we're being real, this game really doesn't do coincidences. So it's possible that Tyler actually worked in the mines. Now during my playthrough, I didn't find any notes or a tape about that. So I'll be honest, there's a possibility that there was one about it. But I think just based off those three things alone, we can honestly come to a conclusion that he probably at some point worked at the mines. That also makes sense because Tyler actually knows how to get down there. And it's not like Fort Oasis is completely in his head. Now obviously the scenario, the enemies, the dreamlike sequences are, but I think the actual layout of Fort Oasis is pretty similar to real life. And also Tyler's been on this island for quite a while, so it makes sense that he knows pretty much every room. The one thing I see as not being real is probably a lot of the jail cells around here. Once again, just like a jail cell, he feels isolated. If it was a prison island, it would make more sense, but it isn't, so there shouldn't be this many jail cells here. It's definitely intentional to show you how Tyler feels. And also on a second playthrough, you realize that a lot of the enemies kind of represent something in Tyler's life. So that one lightning enemy that is just extremely annoying actually symbolizes one of the side effects that Tyler's dealing with, which is called brain shivers. And I'll be honest, I wasn't sure what that even was, but apparently it's a shocking like sensation in your head. And another example of one of the enemies being kind of symbolic, in my opinion, is actually the Brute. Now from what people say about this game, I have not heard this yet, so I'll be honest, there's a chance that this is kind of a reach, and also there's no like notes or tapes about it, but it's possible that Tyler actually had some sort of alcohol problem. The reason I say this is because throughout the game you find a bunch of bottles, things like whiskey, empty bottles, stuff like that, and on top of that, the Brute actually throws bottles at you. Now I'll be honest, those two pieces of evidence alone is definitely not enough. However, if you dig a little bit deeper, I think Tyler having some sort of alcohol problem is definitely plausible, because not only does the Brute throw bottles, but actually Tyler at the end throws bottles. These are the only two enemies that end up throwing them, so it's not really a case of it just being easier to animate. I think it's pretty deliberate. And on top of that, we also get a note to Tyler, and he asks Tyler if he wants to grab a beer. And another piece of evidence is actually the forgotten ones inside of the bar. Towards the end of the game, you go through here, it's just for a very brief moment. And the Forgotten Ones being in the bar kind of shows that Tyler was here pretty frequently. And these are kind of the reasons why I think the brew could kind of resemble some sort of alcoholism. Because not only does he throw the bottles, he's also kind of just mindless. He's pretty slow, and the only thing he can do is kind of just throw punches. I mean, this guy literally headbutts you like he's trying to do a CTE speedrun or something. And this could also kind of give us a reason for a tape a lot later on where Lita's talking about what Tyler said. Now, we still don't know what Tyler actually said during this exchange. However, if Tyler did have some sort of alcohol problem, it was definitely a factor in what he said. However, this whole thing is just kind of a theory of mine, so it could be true or it could be false. But I do think a lot of the evidence kind of points to this. And once you enter the spider area again, you kind of realize that the spiders kind of resembled being stuck here. That's why there's webs pretty much everywhere around here. In some sense, you kind of feel trapped in Fort Oasis. But once we get past this area, we make our way to the graveyard. And during my first playthrough, I actually completely skipped through here. Honestly, I thought this was a part of the background and you couldn't really go down here. And the second you walk down the stairs, the voice obviously does not want you to go there. And there's absolutely a reason down here because there's an invisible monster here. So honestly, you kind of have to guess where you attack him, but eventually you're able to take him down. And I think still by this point, you have a reason to trust the voice on the radio. The voice on the radio obviously didn't want you to go down there because he knew there was a monster down there. But the actual reason why Radio Tyler didn't want you to go down here is because there's actually a hole in the graveyard boarded up by some planks. And these planks are able to be broken by any melee weapon. And going down there, there's actually a secret tunnel. And down here on a table, there's actually a tape from Lita.
Tyler, please pick up. I just wanted you to understand. I've made up my mind. I feel isolated here. I know you always dreamed of living by the sea, but this isn't a life for me. My family misses me. And I miss them. I've tried over and over to reach you, but you won't listen. Please, take care of yourself.
And with this tape, it kind of fills in the context why Lita left. And on the first playthrough, it feels like Lita just left abruptly. However, after discovering this, you kind of get the reason why. While Tyler wanted to stay on the island, Lita obviously did not. She was away from her family and wanted to visit him. It's honestly that simple, and Tyler tried to hide it away. And with this, it kind of seems like Tyler's curating the story in his head. He almost thinks that the world's against him and this is some sort of coordinated effort, even though it's really not. Lita had her reason for leaving, and Ryan is actually trying to find Tyler. However, Tyler's not even answering his calls. So honestly, the reason Tyler's isolated is in some part due to himself. And once again, we return back to this part where, I don't know what this enemy's called, but like the mannequin from Black Ops 3. But people seem to think that this is actually Lita, or I guess the symbolism of Lita, but I don't really think that's true. The writing on the wall says, don't turn your back on her, which at least from Tyler's perspective, he doesn't see it as that way. He sees it as Lita turning her back on him. So I don't really think this symbolizes Lita. And also during this part, if it was Lita, well, Lita's actually trying to find him, which is obviously not the way that Tyler sees it. So honestly, I'm not really sure what this enemy is supposed to represent. Your guess is kind of as good as mine. But once again, we escape this enemy and continue to move forward. And we once again see that same writing on the wall, accompanied by the big mouth monster. At first, when I saw this, I didn't really know what it meant, but I think the jealousy that Tyler's talking about is pretty much everyone around him. At face value, it looks like everyone's pretty much living their perfect life, while Tyler is stuck in his isolation. And once again, I have to do this hide and seek thing, and the process is almost the same. You grab the SMG and you take down the boss. However, before you're about to leave, you actually take the 3 fuses. The first time around, I put the 3 fuses in and pretty much just left, but this time you actually have to put the 3 fuses in, open up the door, and then go all the way back around to pick up the fuses. It's not used for directly after. However, for the next boss fight, it will actually be important. And once you get to this boss fight, you actually don't kill him. What you're supposed to do is let him do this lightning attack, and it has to be near this certain brick wall. And once that happens 3 times, the wall actually breaks. And if you go into the hole in the wall, you can actually place the 3 fuses down and completely bypass this boss. And with that, you take the elevator and go to the next chapter. And the main thing you need to do for chapter 4 is just completely avoid the growths. So instead of burning them, you actually have to go around them. And the way to do it is not obvious at all. You have to go back through this sequence, which, by the way, I hate. This sequence is so bad. This was genuinely one of the scariest things in any game I've played. I already said this before, but it's so hard to show it on video. But this scene is, I don't know why. This disturbing looking face in the wall, it just caught me so off guard. And after this whole little sequence is done, instead of grounding yourself, you actually need to keep moving forward. Because once you make your way into the convenience store, a tunnel actually opens up. And eventually, after going through hallways where the Forgotten Ones are, you finally arrive at the end where you're able to ground yourselves and just simply take the elevator, leaving the growths in the wall alive. And I think the growths really resemble resemble Ryan here. And the reason I say this is because you see Ryan in that dreamlike sequence. And at the very end of it, you also see this exact same figure. Now, I guess it's possible that this isn't Ryan, but that's my best guess. But anyway, you take the elevator, you move on to the next chapter. And this chapter is by far the hardest one. And I started it by taking the high dose medication. And actually, after taking this, you're able to pick up the revolver. So yeah, I wasn't sure how to get it last time, but this is how you get it. And now this time when I went down the tunnel, it was very odd. The Forgotten One's like neck was stuck to the ceiling. This is a very odd scene. However, you do hear a couple things from a doctor. And pretty much right after this, you also see like this massive needle. My guess is this is after the cancer diagnosis. And this is kind of just showing the treatment. And after this, you return back to somewhat normal. And the whole challenge for this chapter is you can't ground yourself once, which also means you can't save once. So this all has to be done in one run. So this is the reason why this is the hardest chapter so far. But the one thing interesting about this time around is once you go to the phone calls, they actually talk back.
That record player. I know grounding yourself right now is what you're aching to do, but we may have to dig deeper if we're going to make it through this. I know it hurts, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It may be faint, but it's there. You're stronger than you think. You just have to keep moving toward it.
And now that Tyler's going down the right path, you can actually hear the people on the phone. They've been calling this whole time, however, Tyler's just ignored it. In his head, no one was talking back. But now, you can actually hear somebody. And you receive 4 different phone calls throughout this chapter, and you have to listen to every single one of them.
I'm glad you reached out again and kept this connection alive. It means a lot. Fort Oasis, it was beautiful. So many good memories. Moments I thought would last forever. It's hard to accept it's all gone now. Hey, listen. We're still here. We might be scattered, living different lives, walking different paths, but we haven't disappeared. You just have to find us again. And you can. Tyler. I know you can.
And the third phone you get is right next to a bunch of spiders, so, you know, you got to deal with those guys. Fortunately, I have the revolver, so, yeah, it's pretty easy. And after that, you pick up the third phone call.
I haven't kept in touch with Lita. She's not easy to find these days. I'm sorry about that. Hearing you got a little girl, that's incredible. I'm sorry you haven't been able to see her. I can't imagine how much that weighs on you. You need to focus on yourself first. Get your footing, get your mind in a place where you can stand again. You've been to hell and back, and I know it's left scars, but it's good, it's reassuring to hear you're starting to mend.
And once again, you got to deal with the crawling guys on the ceiling. You know, not as scary as the first time, but still not a huge fan. But eventually you make your way to the library where you put the 2 keys in. And that's where you listen to the 4th and final call.
I know there are things you keep turning over in your head. Dark truths, regrets, letting them twist and drag out. It's not what you need right now. What you need is to heal, to get better. The past, it won't give you anything but more suffering. Don't let yourself drown in it. I know you, Tyler. You're stronger than you think. I've seen it. You've been through more than anyone should ever have to face, but you've always found a way to come through. You always survive.
And also, this is where the game finally throws you a bone. Since I did this chapter without grounding myself once, that means you get to completely skip the maze. All the rooms just open up, and you're able to get the names that easy. So in some sense, it also makes it a little bit easier at the end. Sure, you can't die once, but you get to completely bypass this part. And after entering the code, you also hear this from the radio.
You think there's something gained by avoiding it. What lies down here won't disappear. You've delayed it long enough. Sooner or later, it will come for you. And you will have to face it.
After this, you enter into chapter 6, and honestly, it's almost the exact same as my first playthrough. All you really have to do is just not turn the pumps, and in the process, not killing the massive tree monster. So essentially, I already did this the first time around. The only difference is I didn't do the steps from the prior chapters, so essentially, nothing changes here. During chapter 7, you have to do the exact same thing by going through the catacombs, and once again, you're transported back to Fort Oasis with no enemies on it. And this is definitely Tyler's, I guess, happy place the therapist was talking about earlier. He's essentially looking back on it with rose-tinted glasses, and this is Tyler imagining that he's still on this perfect Fort Oasis. However, it'll never be like that again. That's why you can't dwell here and you have to keep going. And once again, you're offered to take the exit or continue going down the catacombs, which for this, you once again have to continue down the catacombs. This is essentially the same thing I did in the first playthrough, so nothing really changes here. And for the next chapter, you're essentially given one objective. It's just to not kill the Forgotten Ones. So at any point of the chapter, if they show up, you're just gonna have to go around them. And once again, you retrieve the radiation suit by getting all the parts. And also, I haven't mentioned this much, but just the designs of some of these monsters are just like, you know, who thinks of this. I don't know, it just feels like every enemy is very unique. And I know I already brought up this comparison earlier, but compared to a game like Resident Evil, there's a lot more variety here. It's not just one single enemy or just a slight like reskin or something. Every single one has something different about them. And also the further you progress and go deeper into Tyler's mind, also the more weird and disturbing they become. And I also like that a lot of the enemies have some sort of symbolism. It's not just make the enemies look cool. And overall, I think it's one of the more underappreciated parts of this game. And also, we hear this kind of confusing message from Radio Tyler.
You never wanted to be saved. You wanted someone else to finish what you started. I'm just here to grant that wish.
And I think the someone he's talking about is actually the playable Tyler, because he created this fictional story in his head to make his final decision. It was all to convince himself to go through with it. However, on this playthrough, it's completely opposite of what Radio Tyler said. This time, well, we are trying to be saved. But with that, we craft the radiation suit and we step into the radiation. Now, I could be wrong on this, but I think the radiation definitely resembles whatever chemotherapy he went through. It could kind of symbolize the amount of x-rays he had to go through. Now, I could be wrong on that, but I think that does make a lot of sense, especially because this is leading up to us knowing about the cancer diagnosis. Anyways, I eventually arrive in the mines and have to do the exact same puzzle that I had to do. Not much changes here, except there are actually no forgotten ones down here this time. So since I didn't kill any before, there's just none that show up here, which honestly makes this part a little bit easier the second time around. But other than that, not much else changes. First, you have to take out the first stage of Tyler, and once again, you walk down this abyss hallway, but this time the forgotten ones are not stabbing themselves. They're simply just standing there. And as you pick up the revolver and enter into the last fight, you take out Tyler one final time. And this time, Radio Tyler is silent. And with nowhere else to go, you walk towards the light at the end of the tunnel.
Tyler. I was wrong. I was wrong.
And going through, we're greeted with a golden field. It might not be the perfect Fort Oasis that he wanted. However, he decides to not take his own life. And with that was Total Chaos. Honestly, a masterclass in having a horror game that's both fun to play while also being scary. And also, it has one of the best stories in any game that I've played. The story in this game is one that you kind of have to be engaged in throughout. It's not one that you're just spoon-fed. And a lot of the times, you actually have to fill in the gaps of who these characters are and what their intentions are. And since by the end, you're kind of invested in what happens, it makes the redemption so much better. And just before I end, I know I'm not the only person who's covered this game. Pyrocynical made a great video on this a few years ago in its mod form, and I tried my best to add my own thoughts and opinions to it. However, I know a lot of it is going to overlap, especially when it comes to the story, but I tried my best to add some new thoughts and ideas throughout. So if you guys haven't, go check his video out. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.
I want you to think of a place. It can be real, it can be fictional, but it has to be a place that you would like to be at any given time.
Tyler, please pick up.
That voice you've been following? That one on the radio? I'm trying to reach him. Desperately.
The silence, it's got us all a little worried. Please, call back soon.
I've tried over and over to reach you, but you won't listen. Take care of yourself.
We want what's best for you. Please take care of yourself.
You're stronger than you realize. Take care of yourself.
We're still here. We haven't disappeared. You just have to find us again. And you can. Tyler, I know you can.
You're not trapped by your thoughts. You just have to let them pass.
There's still someone in there. And I need to believe it's not too late to reach them.
I'm pleased to let you know that the therapy was a success. You're officially in remission. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. It may be faint, but it's there. You're stronger than you think. You just have to keep moving toward it.
Tyler. I was wrong.